Launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Space Monkeys blasting off with Dom Harz from Interlay and Kintsugi. They're working hard to bring Bitcoin onto Kusama and also all around the ecosystem. Right now, they're getting ready to launch iBTC on Polkadot. Dom, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while since we got to sit down and talk.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So, last time we talked, I don't know, maybe that was 8 months ago or something. You were just probably launching Kintsugi.
Yeah.
A lot of parachains have launched in the meantime. Are there any parachains that are exciting you right now?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So, Basilisk, they finally launched with their product after 3 weeks of very hard to dev effort. So that was quite cool.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other parachains I think that are very interesting, especially on Kusama. We got some chaos with the GM chain going for a slot, and then us and a bunch of other parachains projects having to extend their slot at the same time. And then on Polkadot, you got so much interesting stuff, and really the main things going live, right? Parallel has a lot of liquidity now. Akala with their AUSD is doing quite well. They're running a big program to incentivize it.
Yeah.
Fun on Moonbeam, a little bit of a Nomad hiccup, but this looks like we also got some chaos on Polkadot, yeah.
Yeah, so did that Nomad hack, did it affect your plans for launching on Polkadot?
Yeah, so, we are launching next week, Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Our iBTC, and we were planning to have like a proper iBTC wrap BTC stable pool on seller swap so people can easily swap it. And, well, now there's no liquidity in that.
Right.
So plans had to be changed, and obviously the seller swap team that we've been quite close contact with, they had a lot of work to do, and for them it's also not a great time.
Yeah, crazy.
But they've been super helpful in like getting us on board and super flexible in terms of changing plans. So now
Nice.
we're gonna launch iBTC with two pools. So one is the iBTC AUSD pool on Akala, and the second pool is the iBTC Glimmer pool on Stellar Swap. So yeah, plans change, but
Did you have any plans with USDC?
we did have plans with the USDC. So we wanted to have for our governance token for Inter, we wanted to have an Inter USDC pool, and now it turned into an Inter Glimmer pool.
Okay. That's
But I think
interesting.
it's fine.
Yeah.
We had some of our partners were interested in having like the USDC asset on the Moonbeam side, but yeah, Glimmer is just the most liquid asset there, so
Fair enough.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm personally not going to be touching USDC for a while on all of Kusama, actually.
Yeah, it's like this whole thing of
Sucks.
building bridges is just quite a difficult thing to do. And even if the design of the bridge, like in the Nomad case, right, the design's fine. It's kind of a unfortunate hiccup in the deployment, and then big consequences. Yeah.
No doubt. And how about USDT? I know that's a native asset for Kusama. You guys have any plans over there?
It's a very good question as well. We prefer right now AUSD as like a real like native asset to the Kusama ecosystem. So that's we planning. Well, first of all, we want to have iBTC as a collateral asset to mint AUSD, but also the other way around, we want to accept AUSD as a collateral asset for our vault.
Right.
So that people, especially in a kind of bear market, right, you kind of want to have an asset that's not price correlated with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So that's what we're planning to add. And then on the USDC side, we didn't get so much interest on that side. It's also quite low liquidity at the moment. There's quite some interest to get USDC onto State Mint and State Mine. So if that happens and there's sufficient liquidity, that would be quite interesting for us. Also, that would kind of reduce bridging risk then.
So real quick there, you said AUSD. So for instance, I could mint AUSD with like LKSM and then use that collateral to also get kBTC or iBTC as well.
You would use LKSM to mint AUSD, take that AUSD, run a vault on our side, back some Bitcoin, and earn yield on that entire chain of events. So it's
amazing. And any plans to connect like liquid assets, derivative assets to the vaults themselves?
Yeah, so we want to, after getting AUSD onboarded as a collateral, I think that's our next top item, and that's one of the most requested things in our
so
Discord.
sweet.
The vault launch is all about like, hey, can we have LDOT, can we have LKSM or SDOT or SKSM as a collateral asset? And yeah, it's definitely. I think it's a pretty obvious choice in the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah.
To get these onboarded and let the vaults that are anyway heavily invested in this stuff enjoy the double APY. Yeah.
Okay, so you're giving the people what they want. I feel like the people who run your vaults are like super involved. All the vault runners that I know absolutely love the product. They love the experience of providing Bitcoin on .sama. What's been your experience with the kBTC vaults, and what sort of challenges did you come up against that kind of informed the next launch of the iBTC?
Yeah. So communities, as you mentioned, is great. It's a bit technically challenging to run these vaults. You need like a Bitcoin full node. You gotta keep a close eye on if anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
So there's I think a quite tight knit community of these vault operators. They're very technical. They're very excited about .sama.
Yeah.
And when we launched Kintsugi, there was a lot of things that we learned. So for example, we had a pretty long running testnet that would just bridge from Bitcoin testnet to our testnet parachain. And then we got this funny incident on day one. We launched, people would send their Bitcoin from a centralized exchange directly to the vaults. And you suddenly get these massive transactions that have so many outputs, and our parachain wasn't built to handle that many outputs, it on purpose restricted the number of outputs. But then, you have like 1,000 outputs in there, and people couldn't mint their kBTC, so we had to do like emergency governance patch.
Damn. So did the BTC get sent, but then they couldn't?
Yeah,
like
so
the system didn't recognize or something? Okay.
Because it's a trustless system, right?
Yeah.
It basically, you have to prove that you send the Bitcoin transaction, and it looks at the raw transaction, and it parses through that entire thing.
Okay.
But it basically, to prevent like DDoS attacks, you kind of limit how deep you're parsing this thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we didn't anticipate that. Exchanges have these massive transaction outputs.
Interesting.
And then we were like, okay, let's quickly fix it. And one of our engineers, like, there's really some amazing people working for us. Like he discovered it at like 7 a.m. Like, oh no, this is going wrong. Like we got to do something, because you got 24 hours. The moment you make your request, you got 24 hours to fulfill it. So the people, send the Bitcoin, and we had to deploy the fix within a 24-hour period.
Oh.
And so like the clock started ticking at 7 a.m. when he discovered it. And okay, he developed the fix. We got it into governance, fast-tracked it via technical committee, and make sure like that people still get their kBTC that they rightfully
chaos story,
send.
man.
Yeah, it was really nice chaos. But that's
cool. That's really
great,
cool.
Great thing about Kusama, right?
Yeah.
You learn about that in your first product launch, and those are the things you just don't learn them when you run on a testnet. Those are the things you learn when you run in production. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
How about like the major volatility in the markets lately? I know you guys are collateralized. Bitcoin network probably getting congested. The collateral, risk, dropping 80%. How's that all been?
Yeah, it's been quite intense. Like, when we launched, it's a collateralized system. So basically, the custodian, the vault, always has to provide more money than they actually have in custody.
Yeah.
So we have a 260% collateralization on KSM, and then market crash happened. Right, we have about $2.5 million worth of collateral in KSM locked, and obviously as like a operator of this network, as like the creators of it, you're quite hopefully nobody's gonna get liquidated. And then we're doing some risk analysis. We do our own collateral modeling for the thresholds. That turned out to be really good. Like we didn't have any liquidations because of price drops in the market crash. We had some hiccups with when the market is crashing. Like people tend to kind of move a lot of assets around, and the big Bitcoin network got congested. And at that right before these conditions in the market crash started, people were requesting to redeem their Bitcoin. Vaults send Bitcoin to the users, but the fees were too low for the incoming like number of Bitcoin transactions, so the transactions didn't include in time, and then our vaults actually got, or free vaults, I think free vaults got liquidated.
And this is because of that 24-hour window to fulfill these promises.
Yeah,
Right.
it was too short and it didn't work well. And also there used to be a mechanism, or well, there's still there's an ongoing governance vote that basically vaults had to keep the Bitcoin like locked unless specifically requested by the protocol to move them somewhere else.
Okay.
But the problem was like, so they had to move it within 24 hours to the user. That didn't happen. But then after 24 hours, the transaction actually got included. But then the system says like,
right. You didn't get it.
well, you didn't send that thing, so the user can slash you. But then also, you moved Bitcoin, and this is not really to any like valid request anymore. So you stole those Bitcoins, so we're gonna liquidate you now. And yeah, ever
very
since,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's like all these funky things that you discover when you do production chaos. And so we now currently there's a governance proposal to actually kind of address that and the entire economic security of our systems anyway. Like when a user wants to get their Bitcoin out, like you send it or you lose money as a vault, and that's still in place. But now we allow vaults to kind of move Bitcoin around if they want to, so kind of move it to like a cold storage or something like that, so the like bit more operational security.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so you have these passionate vault runners. It's not really open and available to people like me. Do you have any plans to kind of lower that barrier of entry so more people can participate in minting Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two distinct product directions to make it a lot easier for people to participate actually in our system. So number one is we're working on this hybrid Bitcoin product. So essentially, similar to how Kala works, right? You provide collateral, you mint AUSD, but you don't actually need to bring physical dollars. In the same way, what we are trying to do is you bring collateral, you mint iBTC or kBTC because it's backed by collateral. So you can have the asset. You don't need to run a Bitcoin full node. You don't need to run this off-chain vault client, but you can have iBTC, kBTC just by providing the collateral.
Okay.
And then the cool thing is we're building like a little market mechanism in the background where you still have this physical redeemability for Bitcoin. Very similar to how a lending protocol works, in the sense that if you supply, say, AUSD to the lending protocol, you can always get your AUSD out, even though people borrow against it, right? And by having like a proper money market for that, where you control rates and supply and demand, you can build a very similar system where you can get part of your Bitcoin being backed by synthetic and part of it by actual physical Bitcoin.
Oh.
And you can kind of, you get a cool combination, and it's going to make it a lot easier for people to run these synthetic vaults. Mm-hmm. And then the second product innovation, the second side of it is our really long-term goal is like reduce trust as much as we can.
Yeah.
We have collateralized vaults. That's kind of the best system we think that can be out there right now for Bitcoin bridges. But what if you could just, have Bitcoin in your wallet, you lock it for some time verifiably, and then you earn passive income and you don't actually need to do anything because, well, what can you really do with your Bitcoin right now?
Right,
apart from
right.
bridging it over to iBTC.
Okay.
And so there's a protocol that we've been working on for quite a bit. And what we basically want to do is people lock their Bitcoin for, say, 6 months or a year, and we mint that Bitcoin. And it's not fully fungible, but it's controlled by the protocol, by the Parachain itself. And then the Parachain governance and the interesting mechanism that has some sort of incentivization for like kind of fund managers almost, can direct that liquidity to other DeFi protocols and earn yield that way. So think about a bit like how Curve works, where governance token holders can actually control liquidity and control rewards for different pools.
Yeah,
we
sure.
could move around like large quantities of Bitcoin liquidity to other DeFi protocols, controlled by by our governance, by our stakers, basically. And there's I think there's a lot more cool DeFi primitives that we can explore in like the .sama space about. Well, we're bringing that Bitcoin liquidity, but I think there's also loads of like fun stuff where different parachain projects and DAOs that are deployed on parachains can interact with that liquidity that's provisioned over, and we can see the full power of XEM when like an entire DAO starts to do DeFi stuff via XEM cross-chain. It's going to be wild.
Okay, sick. How about like as far as making BTC useful? I mean, moving it to other ecosystems obviously is great, and we can do all kinds of crazy stuff there. But what about on the back end? Is there anything you guys are building up?
Yeah, right. So we are looking into enabling like more smart contract functionality in our chain, so that people can build additional products on top of the infrastructure that we built. So, like getting this Bitcoin bridge up and ready. There was a lot of stuff that we had to build from scratch, like a full Bitcoin relay. So we have all of the entirety of the Bitcoin block headers stored on our chain. But you can do interesting stuff with that actually. So you could for example build like a Bitcoin derivatives platform. So think about like something like what Deribit and BitMEX are doing. Yeah. But do it in a decentralized way. So be able to send Bitcoin around, you can prove that it happened on Bitcoin. So you could build that stuff. But I mean, we're not, at least me personally, I'm not really a finance guy or anything. Okay. So we'd be now, like post-launch, we'd be ramping up like these grants programs. We are ramping up on the marketing side, like this innovator program. So we were looking kind of for teams eventually to build on our platform and to utilize this infrastructure that we built to build new cool products that are going to unlock a lot more of this actual Bitcoin DeFi that we don't really see right now. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Okay, well, you guys are launching iBTC, as you said. By the time this launches, it will be 4 or 5 days ago. I hope it went well. What can people expect in the first couple of weeks of the iBTC launch?
So we basically we're gonna launch with the iBTC Glimmer pool on Stella, and we're gonna launch with the iBTC AUSD pool on Akala, and then we wanna get new use cases out as soon as we can, and get a constant stream of use cases up and running. So by the time you're watching the show, probably our next big target is iBTC as AUSD collateral. So we hope that the iBTC AUSD pool has sufficient liquidity to satisfy like Akala's risk management as well. Yeah, right. We're looking into getting listed on Moonwell. iBTC, you can borrow stuff against your iBTC. We are talking with Parallel to get it over to their chain. We're talking with Astar to get it over to their chain and really, get it all going. Hopefully, HydroDX eventually Omnipool. That's going to be a thing. The more use cases we can have, the more utility we can bring, the better. So if anyone has any cool ideas, just I'm on the Discord pretty much all the time. So just let me know.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you very much for all the work you're doing and for bringing Bitcoin onto .sama. I really feel like it gives .sama some legitimacy. You know what I mean? And it's not just stopping at .sama. You guys are going to expand to other chains in the future as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So iBTC should be just basically on any chain. Its home is always going to be Polkadot and kBTC Kusama. But from there we wanna ideally wrap our parachain in IBC so we can bridge it over to all the Cosmos chains. We're really hoping that Snowbridge is going to be a thing soon. Trustless Ethereum, but we really need those.
Have you heard anything about Snowbridge? I mean, it's been super quiet.
Yeah. So we just been discussing it the last 2 days with all the parachain teams and Parity. There's some progress being made on Beefies, so hopefully soon. So let's see when it's actually gonna happen. I guess it's ready when it's ready, as they say.
Okay, well, it couldn't come soon enough.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we'd be looking so much forward to that bridge. So and then we want to mint all the iBTC on .sama, but then bring it basically anywhere.
Okay, awesome. Well, Dom, thank you very much for coming and talking to us and giving us this update. Thank you. We'll be watching closely. And hopefully talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, buddy.